President Bush, speaking at the UN, once again says Saddam Hussein's nuclear plans must be stopped.
In seeing that Iraq destroys all of its weapons of mass destruction and the means to deliver them, and we will not compromise.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw. Tonight, sitting in for Tom is Faith Daniels.
Good evening. Another high-stakes confrontation today between a United Nations nuclear inspection team and Iraq. For about 5 hours, the Iraqis detained a group of UN inspectors in Baghdad. This followed the inspectors' discovery of several carloads of documents that showed, no matter what Baghdad claims, Iraq has been engaged in a covert nuclear weapons program. The development prompted some last-minute changes in President Bush's scheduled address today to the UN General Assembly. NBC's White House correspondent John Cochran is with the president now in New York. John?
Faith, at this Manhattan hotel over my shoulder here, President Bush has been meeting privately with foreign leaders and telling them privately what he said publicly earlier at the UN General Assembly, that Saddam Hussein is simply ignoring the ceasefire resolutions.
Very much.
The president returned to the same hall where a year ago he asked the UN to force Saddam out of Kuwait if he refused to leave voluntarily. Saddam did refuse, and now Bush says Saddam refuses to obey the ceasefire resolutions he accepted at the end of the Gulf War.
His government refuses to permit unconditional helicopter inspections, and right now is refusing to allow UN inspectors to leave inspected premises with documents relating to an Iraqi nuclear weapons program.
Those UN inspectors were permitted to leave, but without the documents linking Iraq to nuclear weapons development. A clear violation of ceasefire accords, but no real surprise. Last year, NBC News reported that Iraq was smuggling material from England, which included nuclear detonators. And more evidence of a nuclear weapons program emerged after the Gulf War. But Iraq continues to insist its nuclear research is for peaceful purposes only. President Bush said, in effect, Saddam should never be trusted.
And it is the United States' view that we must keep the United Nations sanctions in place as long as he remains in power. And this also shows that we cannot compromise for a moment in seeing that Iraq destroys all of its weapons of mass destruction and the means to deliver them, and we will not compromise.
But Bush is not threatening a resumption of bombing attacks. Not yet, anyway.
Until we know a little more, why there's going to be no decisions on the United States will do, and indeed a lot of other countries in the United States.
U.S. officials say there is little or no chance that the Iraqis will give up the documents proving that they have nuclear ambitions. The Iraqis say all they wanted was a receipt for the documents, but one U.S. official said that's baloney. Actually, he used another word. Faith?
All right, thanks, John. The president also used his UN address to try to eliminate long-standing friction between Israel and its Arab neighbors, and by doing so, soothing relations between Israel and the United States. We have NBC's diplomatic correspondent, John Dancy, at the UN and in Israel, Martin Fletcher. Let's start with you, John.
The friction is caused by a resolution that was a product of another time. It was passed in 1975, and it says that Zionism amounts to racism. Zionism is the founding ideal of Israel, as central to the Israeli mystique as liberty is to the United States. It says that all Jews have a homeland in the historic land of Israel. The UN's vote 16 years ago, led by Arab states and the Soviet Union, created an Israeli mistrust of the United Nations that exists down to today. Chaim Herzog was Israel's ambassador to the UN then.
Hitler would have felt at home on a number of occasions during the past year, listening to the proceedings in this forum.
The U.S. voted against the resolution in 1975, but could not stop it. Today, President Bush called for its repeal.
To equate Zionism with racism is to reject Israel itself, a member of good standing of the United Nations.
Israel's leaders are currently angry at the U.S., claiming the Bush administration has linked U.S. aid to a freeze on settlements in occupied Arab lands. The Bush White House hopes the U.S. move to repeal the Zionism resolution will ease tensions. Will it work?
I don't believe that it will remove the bitter taste and feelings that are left by the dispute over the loan guarantees, and that will continue to be a festering sore until it is resolved.
The U.S. move may anger Arab states in advance of a Middle East peace conference. In Algeria today, Yasser Arafat and the Palestinian National Council began a crucial meeting. They will decide whether to attend a peace conference. Administration officials believe that they now have a chance to repeal the Zionism resolution because the UN has changed fundamentally. The Soviets are not here stirring up unrest among the Arab countries. Faith?
All right, thanks, John. Now on to Martin Fletcher in Tel Aviv. Martin, the president's intended audience today was as much in Israel as at the UN. How was the president's speech received there?
Well, Faith, publicly, Israeli leaders praised Bush's call to repeal the Zionism and racism resolution. Privately, though, they say it's about time. They're not getting carried away. They see it as an attempt by Bush to smooth over deeper divisions with Israel.
Prime Minister Shamir responded only in general terms to President Bush's UN speech.
It's a very beautiful and inspiring speech.
But more of a gut response from Shamir Friday when asked a more specific question. Will Israel free settlements as America wants?
I don't understand it.
A truer response to American attempts to dictate policy to Israel. Israeli leaders are grateful that at last Bush is calling into question what Israel sees as a deeply anti-Israel UN resolution. But they're not letting that distract them from the real issue.
The United States says, get out of the territories. We say, we can't have a country 10 miles wide. We won't survive.
Palestinians complain that their real issue, the future of their land, is being submerged by the question of a regional peace conference, which will try to sort out all the problems between Israel and its Arab neighbors. And today, leading Palestinians on the West Bank warned the world not to forget them.
We are the key. Stability. We are the key to peace. And we are the key for a new shape and faith for this region in the remaining years of this century and for the next century.
But more radical Palestinians swear to fight any peaceful solution. Israeli troops still haven't found the killer of a soldier shot dead this month by Palestinians who are using more guns against Israelis, threatening to sabotage the peace conference.
We haven't heard much about the Palestinian uprising lately, but they're still fighting in the occupied territories, and if there is a peace conference, radical Palestinians threaten a lot more violence. Faith?
Thanks, Martin. When Nightly News continues, we will relive the nightmare at a Utah maternity ward taken over by a gunman this weekend. And our In the 90s report, the new bosses. Betty Rowland will report on women at the top. They have their own management style, and it works.
It's easy to recognize the leaders of yesterday. But how can we recognize the leaders of tomorrow? That's why we created the Tylenol Scholarship Fund. For each Tylenol coupon you redeem at participating stores from your September 29th newspaper, a donation will be made to the fund, which awards over 500 scholarships to students who show outstanding achievement. So help tomorrow's leaders get the recognition they deserve today.
Every time you reach for a cereal, you have to make a choice. Well, what if next time you had to choose between these cereals based solely on the side panels? No brand names, no fancy packages, just the plain and simple facts. You'd find only one is low in sugar and a good source of fiber and made from whole grain oats. Cheerios. Compare the side panels and see for yourself. The choice is Cheerios.
Prosecutors in Salt Lake City say the man who took over a hospital maternity ward tried to commit suicide last night. Richard Worthington is accused of holding 8 hostages and killing a nurse before surrendering late Saturday. In the middle of it all, a baby was born. NBC's Roger O'Neill on the ordeal.
It is supposed to be a place for new life, not death. A place where mothers can hold their babies, not where police snatch them apart. A place of great joy, not terrible sadness. The birthing center at Alta View Hospital near Salt Lake City was all of those things for 18 terrifying hours this weekend. Nurse Margie Weiler.
In the first 6 to 8 hours, we were continually being threatened, more that he was going to kill himself and us with him, not particularly, you, Margie Weiler, I'm going to kill you.
Richard Worthington, armed with a pistol, a shotgun, and enough dynamite to blow up a city block, is in jail now. But the nightmare for these mothers and nurses who he held hostage is still being relived. Christian Downey gave birth during the ordeal.
It went really good, and he basically left us alone.
Police SWAT teams got Cindy Adamson out, but she wanted to get her baby out, too.
And I just wanted to know if they would stop so I could get my baby out of the nursery, and they said no.
Worthington apparently wanted to kill a doctor who 2 years ago tied the fallopian tubes of his wife. The doctor was in the hospital, but escaped. Nurse Weiler, who had the most contact with the deranged man, admitted there were many times when she thought everyone would die.
And he come through the door again, and he still had the rifle and the handgun. And he made statements like, "I'm not going to live through this night, and neither are any of you guys."
This is a strong Mormon community where not only is life precious, but so too is forgiveness. Nurse Carla Roth was killed in the ordeal. Her husband, Dave.
I even prayed for that man. He needed it. This isn't done by a sane person, so he obviously needs help.
In the end, Worthington gave himself up. Nurses carrying babies rushed out of the hospital. It was over. It was time to try to get on with life again. Roger O'Neill, NBC News.
There's political turmoil in the West these days as voters try to limit the terms of politicians. In Congress, for example, 96% of incumbents who ran last year were reelected. Residents of Washington state will vote in November on the strictest term limitation measure in the country. NBC's Andrea Mitchell.
Before dawn in Bremerton, Washington, while politicians are fast asleep, their enemies are already hard at work.
You heard about our initiative yet? 553? One on term limits? Mm-hmm. You favorable of it?
Yes, I am. Politicians are riding the gravy train, and it's really difficult to upset an incumbent.
The same throw the bums out cry is being heard all over the West. Term limits for state officials have been approved in California and Oklahoma. Colorado has voted to limit terms for future members of Congress. Petition drives are underway in 16 other states. But nothing as sweeping as what's being proposed in Washington state. Its measure would be retroactive, kicking out current members of Congress, anyone who has served more than 6 years in the House or 12 years in the Senate, starting at the very top with the Speaker of the House. Even his Republican colleagues don't want to see him go.
What about Tom Foley, Speaker of the House? It took us 200 years to get somebody from west of Texas. Now we're going to throw him out as one of the rascals?
It's time to return to a citizen legislature. We need to move away from the career politician and get government back into the hands of the people.
Much of the money behind the campaign comes from national conservative groups who are targeting the Democratic Congress. Opponents say we already have term limits called elections.
If we believe in democracy, we must believe that voters are smart enough to choose wisely at least most of the time.
Foley says term limits can only be approved by changing the Constitution.
There is no way that any state or the Congress can impose any additional requirements on qualifications for office other than those mentioned in the Constitution.
Support, strong at first, is slipping as people realize what's at stake.
This is limiting terms of career politicians.
Jeez, that's a terrible thing to want to do.
What would you expect from the town's mayor? If people are fed up, term limit supporters say politicians have only themselves to blame for refusing to shake off the influence of special interests. Andrea Mitchell, NBC News at the Capitol.
I'll be back with tonight's Daily Difference Report in just a moment.
Nutrisize now for 50% off Nutrisystem's full-service program. Call 1-800-321-THIN.
Joanna.
Charles.
Theirs was a love affair. A love of butter stopped short by cholesterol.
I've dreamt of giving you this.
I can't believe it's not butter.
I can't believe it's not butter is still the only spread flavored with real sweet cream buttermilk for a fresh butter taste, but without the cholesterol to spoil the romance.
I never thought I'd be swept off my feet again.
I can't believe it's not butter, the taste you love without the cholesterol.
Once again, Buick is raising the banner for quality in America. Introducing the 1992 LeSabre with a higher level of power, safety, security, and convenience. This new LeSabre is going to be one tough act to follow. LeSabre for 1992 from Buick.
Tonight's Daily Difference. In the 90s, a new generation of female executives is moving into America's top business management. And for the first time, they're showing that women don't have to conform to the stereotypical image of the boss, the male image. NBC's Betty Rollin.
Paula Foreman, 43 years old, sits on top of New York and as executive vice president of Saatchi & Saatchi on top of one of the biggest advertising agencies in the world.
Do we agree with each other?
Paula says we a lot.
What do you think, Jeffrey?
Paula asks more than she tells. She also listens more than she talks. And she does her listening in a pink chair. Julie Newcomb, 45, CEO of a $40 million construction company in Southern California.
Looks good. Looks real clean, guys.
Julie is big on praise. In style, she's far more nurturer than commander.
Good framer.
Yes.
We're good. Great.
According to a recent study of successful women executives, Paula and Julie are a new kind of woman boss.
These are women who said, I'm not going to dress like a man, talk like a man, act like a man, because that's the way to get ahead. I'm going to be myself.
And what did myself mean?
And myself meant that I care about relationships. I care about people working together. I care about how people feel about their work.
At the presidential level, the emphasis must be financial.
The 1950s movie Executive Suite showed how the guy in charge took a meeting. And 35 years later, the male managerial style, according to Dr. Rosner, is still to boss from above. Whereas the women she studied were more inclined to include employees in their decisions, to share power.
I feel like business is personal, and a personal relationship is a dialogue. It's not one person making a speech to another person. So I really do try to find out how other people are feeling about things. Sounds motherly. Being a mother is not that different from running a large group of people. It is about, you know, find this, get that, do this, how do you feel, are you okay, stop crying. And I don't think that nurturing and mothering is an ineffective way of doing it. It's just different. My profitability is quite good.
So is Julie Newcomb's. In the 3 years she's been with the company, sales have jumped 90%. The founder of the women's movement thinks that these kinder, gentler female bosses are the way of the future.
I think that it is second stage of the women's movement to equality, that we go beyond the male model.
Critics of the study say that the traits these women display are not necessarily female. The other side says they needn't be. Some men already act this way, and as they see it's good for business, more probably will. Betty Rollin, NBC News, New York.
Tomorrow's Daily Difference, what works? We'll meet a modern-day Johnny Appleseed. He's returning life to Utah's barren mining country.
When you look at dairy food, does your stomach say no? Introducing new Dairy Ease, a natural nutritional supplement that helps people with lactose intolerance enjoy ice cream, milk, and other delicious dairy food like everyone else. Pleasant-tasting, chewable new Dairy Ease.
Mice. For everyone you see, there may be 15 or 20 that you don't see, and they eat in many different places. A very unhealthy situation. But put Decon Mouseproof in the places mice feed, like behind the refrigerator, the cupboard, the washer, and you'll eliminate them faster. Decon Mouseproof gets mice right where they live.
Oh, what people do to clean tough stains under the rim. Because for some bowl cleaners, that's a real stretch. Try a different angle. The angle neck of Lysol Toilet Bowl Cleaner. It easily goes under the rim and wipes out stains and germs. Don't get bent out of shape. Get Lysol Toilet Bowl Cleaner, the heavyweight with a powerful angle on cleaning.
Aha! The old double suitcase trip. Well, you can never be too smart when traveling on business. So grab a phone, Call your travel agent, and you can stay at any of 2,500 choice hotels absolutely free. Would you believe up to 30% off?
Call your travel agent or 1-800-4CHOICE to save 10 to 30% with Choice Hotels corporate rates.
For years, Chrysler has stood behind every car and truck it makes with the industry's longest powertrain warranty. Since no one could improve upon it, we did. With the Owner's Choice Protection Plan. Now you can choose our legendary 7-year, 70,000-mile powertrain warranty or our new 3-year, 36,000-mile bumper-to-bumper coverage. At Chrysler, one of the best warranties in the business just got 100% better. Now where does that leave the competition?
The turmoil continued today in what was once the Soviet Union, where one republic after another is finding that greater freedom can be a mixed blessing. In Georgia, thousands rallied in support of that republic's embattled president. He's pushing for independence, but his opposition fears dictatorship. The State Department today warned Americans to stay away from Georgia. And by a vote of parliament today, Armenia became the 12th of 15 Soviet republics to declare itself free of Moscow, reclaiming an independence lost since 1920. It was 1 month ago that Moldavia declared its independence, and there too, life has been turned upside down since last month's failed coup. The Southwestern Republic is tiny, but the problems brought by its new freedom are anything but. NBC's Jim Maceda in Moldavia.
Grapes. At this time of year, gold for Moldavian farmers. In the south, the harvest is good, yet people here are worried. Like many others throughout the republics, they fear independence.
Most people here don't want an independent Moldavia. We'd prefer to stay in the Union.
With trade links to other Union republics severed, the squeeze of independence on this rural population is already tight.
We don't have gas. We don't have fuel. At home, I've got 1 chicken left. And you say that independence is better?
Like most of Moldavia's minorities, these ethnic Turks fear that without protection from the Kremlin, an unleashed wave of Moldavian nationalism will wipe them out. In the capital of Chisinau, that wave is building. The Moldavian flag flies over the parliament. Romanian, the native tongue, has replaced Russian as the official language. And there is talk of reuniting with Romania.
We want to share the same territory with our Romanian brothers. If others here don't like it, they can just leave.
But over 1 million ethnic Russians, privileged when Moscow was in charge, don't like it. In protest, Russian women have formed human barricades across railways into Moldavia, blocking the republic's lifeline from neighboring Russia. These women say they would rather die than become second-class citizens, or worse, in a free Moldavia. And here in the east, Russians have declared their own republic.
The Moldavians scream that we Russians are occupiers, that we should all go back to Russia. But I was born here. Am I an occupier?
In retaliation, Moldavians have set up their own blockade around the Russian enclave, cutting off food supplies and weapons. The police say they will try to keep the peace, but can only watch as their republic splits apart.
Many here say that interethnic fears and hatred run so deep that only an outside arbiter, like the United Nations, could resolve the crisis. Until then, independent Moldavia will be free in name only. Jim Maceda, NBC News, Eastern Moldavia.
On Wall Street today, it was a quiet day. Stocks closed down slightly in moderate trading.
The Financial Report has been brought to you by Merrill Lynch. We're bullish on the future.
What traits do you look for in a financial firm? A herd mentality? Unsteadiness? Complacency? Or do you look for strength? Stability? Knowledge of the world? What traits do you look for?
I put off going to the doctor. But this burning stomach kept waking me up at night. Finally, I just went. I can imagine how relieved I was when my doctor said, Mylanta. He said I had heartburn. And heartburn like mine needed a strong medicine.
Mylanta is strong medicine, strongly recommended. In fact, Mylanta is the antacid doctors recommend most.
My doctor said Mylanta.
Now available in cherry and cool mint cream flavors.
Mary Brody won't feel the tiny lump in her breast for another 2 years, but she'll discover it tomorrow after her first mammogram, thanks in part to a new X-ray film created by DuPont that makes it safer to start mammography early. And for Mary, early detection means a 2-year head start on the rest of her life. At DuPont, we make the things that make a difference.
I'll get the dressing.
Let's make it fresh. Good seasons.
Dressing's great.
Good seasons, you make it fresh, you make it best.
We're flattered that after 60 years, people still get impatient for the natural whole grain goodness. Roman meal bread. Kind of proves we've had it right all along. Roman meal. It's that good.
Finally tonight, there's a storm brewing in Sun City, Arizona, that is. Keith Morrison reports tonight on Trouble in Paradise.
A person could get practically poetic about the way some people are getting old in the American Southwest. Just look at this. It's called Sun City, Arizona. If Heaven's waiting room has a first-class lounge, this is it.
It's a good place to live. People are friendly. There's lots to do.
Lots to do? In Sun City, there are more golf carts than dogs. They play tennis and lawn bowling.
We had 3 points there that he hit that jack.
And they keep in shape so that they can stay out of their own world-class hospital. You know, the youngest woman in the synchronized swimming club is 62, which is younger than the volunteer pool cleaner, and most of the people in Pride who keep the place very spiffy. What could be wrong? Politics is what?
The would-be politicians and the demagogues start crawling out from under the rocks.
The residents of Sun City have broken up into warring groups over incorporation. If this were a city, would taxes go down or up?
There's no way that could cost more. It would cost a whole lot less. We'd get our money's worth if we incorporated.
If Sun Cityans suddenly lose their minds and go for incorporation, then whatever happens to them, they deserve.
You see what I mean? Visceral, this. You thought these people were content to live out their sunset years in idle repose?
18 years ago, I found out that we were paying too much for our municipal services.
This battle over whether or not to become a city has been going on for almost 20 years. And as it heads for another climactic vote, it is getting, well, nasty.
It's not personal.
It isn't?
No.
Some residents would just as soon the whole fight went away.
It is not personal.
And I think this is just one of those things we have to work out among ourselves.
In due time, of course, one resident admitting recently he keeps a hopeful eye on the obituary column from the name of his opponent. Keith Morrison, NBC News.
That's Nightly News for this Monday. Tom will be back tomorrow night. I'll see you tomorrow morning on Today. Till then, good night, everyone.
On stage, Dolly Parton's America's Sweetheart. But off stage, you'll see the pain behind the fame.
If you hurt me, I swear I'll kill you.
Trapped in a murderous scandal. Dolly Parton. Gary Busey, Willie Nelson, a world premiere movie, Wild Texas Wind, on NBC tonight.
I think we all consider ourselves journalists first, but I think we're having a heck of a lot of fun.
Timmy and Jody and Mom.
Today, the best way to start your day.
Next on the scene at 6, a former Metro Council candidate is accused of buying sexual favors from a minor. And the growing fraud allegations against the Nashville Business College include financial aid hanky-panky. Also, high school students react to an alarming survey on teen suicide, plus art that heals what ails you.
These stories and more news coming up next on The Scene at 6.
Good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go.
It's factory authorized clearance time again.